Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to sit down and talk about my TBR for Victober 2025. So this year's Victober is special because it's the 10th year of Victober. If you're not already familiar with what Victober is, it stands for Victorian October. It is a readathon for the whole month of October where we are encouraged to read Victorian literature. This is a readathon that was started by Katie from the channel Books and Things. Again, this is the 10th year, so there are now 10 hosts this year, which means there are 10 prompts. So 10 different challenges that we can kind of try to meet if we want to throughout our reading this month. Of course, all of the hosts always say just reading one book means that you've participated in Victober, so you don't have to do these prompts. I just kind of feel like it. I think it's fun. Before we jump into what I'm deciding to read for as many prompts as I can do, because I can't read 10 books in a month, especially I cannot read 10 Victorian books in a month and all that. So I'm gonna try to scratch off as many or tick off as many challenge boxes as I can with as few books as I can. But before we get into that, I'll run through who each of the hosts are this year. So we have, of course, Katie from Books and Things. We have Kate from the channel Howe. We have Marissa from the channel Blatantly Bookish. We have Roz from Scallydandling About the Books. We have Elizabeth from A Literary Princess. We have Hannah from Hannah's Books. We have Jess from Dickens and Docs. We have Catherine from Taking Tea with Catherine. Milena from the channel Milena Reads. And we have Roy from the channel Roy Reads Anything. So those are all of our hosts this year. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I tried to make a list, which I was reading right in front of me. Each of these hosts has their own challenge. So Kate's challenge is to read a book where friendship is featured in some way. Katie's challenge is to read a book that is not a novel. Marissa's challenge is to read a book where a character experiences a change in class. Roz's challenge is to read, it's actually not like a book challenge. Her challenge is empire spotting. So after you've read all of your books, kind of go back and see where empire was a theme involved in the books. I'm sure they'd kind of be involved in a lot of them, but we'll see. That's going to be like a hindsight thing for me. And then Elizabeth's challenge is to read a book by an underrated female Victorian author. Hannah's challenge is to read a book that discusses education. Jess's challenge is to read a Victorian book set in a different era. Catherine's challenge is to read a book with a connection to Jane Austen. And Milena's challenge is to read a book after spinning like a color wheel online, which I've already done off camera, but I filmed it on my phone. Like I filmed the screen. So I'll try to input that if I can. And Roy's challenge is to read like a Victorian fantastical novel. So again, lots of challenges. I won't be reading 10 different books, but I'll tell you what's on my TBR. So there's also a group read, which is Hester by Margaret Oliphant. I do not have it with me currently, but I did order it online yesterday, so hopefully it'll get here in the next few days. Accomplishes, whose challenge does it accomplish? It accomplishes Elizabeth's challenge, which is to read a book by an underrated female Victorian author. She mentioned Margaret Oliphant a lot in her announcement video, which, by the way, I'll try to link down below all of the hosts' announcement videos. I'd really recommend watching those as they have recommendations, like extensive recommendations for each of their individual challenges. So that was super helpful. I'd, again, really recommend those. The second book that I have on my TBR is Adam Bede by George Eliot. Now, this book checks off so many challenges, like a lot. So this is the one that I'm going to prioritize because I'll be able to knock off a lot of different challenges. So it accomplishes Kate's challenge to read a book where friendship is featured. It accomplishes Marissa's challenge where a character experiences a change in class. It accomplishes Hannah's challenge, which is to read a book that discusses education. And it accomplishes Jess's challenge, which is to read a book set in a different era. This book also accomplishes Milena's challenge because when I spun the color wheel online, I got green. I spun it twice because I forgot to film it the first time, and I got like different shades of green each time. And I feel like green is the dominant color in this cover. I mean, I feel like it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it is. I'm gonna use this for that challenge as well. The next few books that I have on my TBR, I'm not planning on reading all of them, but all of these are here because of Katie's challenge, which is to read a book that is not a novel. So we have this little collection of poems by Thomas Hardy, which is called A Woman Much Missed. Is it focusing? A Woman Much Missed, which is in one of these Penguin Little Black Classics editions. I think it could be fun to read these poems throughout the month, quick and easy pretty much too. I also have The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde on my potential TBR for this prompt. Because I've been kind of getting into plays this year and I would really like to read this. I know it's a very popular and well-beloved play that is from the Victorian period. And then a potential book that is like pretty hefty, but I would consider reading anything from this, like not necessarily having to finish it in the month of October, but starting it as completing that challenge. And that is Selected Essays, Poems, and Other Writings by George Eliot in this beautiful Penguin Classics edition. You can kind of see a theme here that's going to continue in my next couple books on my TBR. Maybe this Victober will be the month of George Eliot. Maybe I'll just like knock off a few more books off of George Eliot's catalog that I haven't read yet but that I own. I think that could be super fun. Last but not least, I have two other potential reads on my Victober TBR. Again, I'm not planning on reading both of them, but one or other of these will work. I have The Warden by Anthony Trollope or Scenes of Clerical Life by George Eliot. And I also feel like green is featured quite a bit in this cover, so that could be another thing for Milena's challenge. Both of these books are on the TBR for, let's see, Catherine's challenge, which is to read a book that has some sort of connection with Jane Austen. That I had absolutely no idea what I would have picked for that before I watched her video. So again, I'd really recommend watching her video where she gives you recommendations and kind of explains what she means by that. But she decided to make, from what I understand, she decided to make this her challenge because this is Jane Austen's, or this year is Jane Austen's 250th birthday? I think. I could be mistaken on that, but that's what if I'm remembering correctly, that's what I think I heard. Like, I didn't know how connected she wanted the books to be to Jane Austen, but it seems like pretty loose. Anyway, in her video, she mentioned Anthony Trollope a lot as being in connection with Jane Austen. She recommended a lot of his books. She mentioned The Warden. So that's why this is on my TBR for this challenge. It's also really short. I've never read Anthony Trollope before. I've heard from a lot of people that this is not a great place to start. So I don't know, but it's also his shortest, so. Looked up online just so I could have some more options. I asked ChatGPT to give me recommendations of books that are connected to Jane Austen in some way, or Victorian books that are affiliated with her in some way, or maybe mention her. And a book that came up was George Eliot's Scenes of Clerical Life. And the reasoning ChatGPT gave for this is because this was compared by contemporary viewers to Jane Austen. So yeah, I see these both as good connections, and Scenes of Clerical Life. Again, if I read this, it could just be like a fun George Eliot month. Like, this could be my month, you know what I mean? And then I could knock off so many challenges with like, well, and including Hester with those 4 books. I think that could be awesome. But we will see. We will see what I actually read in the month of October. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Victober. I think it's such a fun time. I love watching and rewatching everybody's like Victober wrap-ups, their favorite books by all these different Victorian authors. I think that it's just so wonderful and exciting. I'm excited for this year's Victober. Please let me know down below what you are planning on reading for Victober, if you are planning on participating. If not, then let me know down below if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned here. Let me know what you think of them. or you can let me know what your favorite Victorian author is, or what your favorite of their books are. That'd be awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.